Internal Revenue Service IRS tax news. Top 5 things to remember when filing income tax returns in 2022. Number 1, if you don't pay, the IRS will hit you with a stick of penalties and interest. Just kidding, that's not one of them. But first, an attempt at a joke. I apologize in advance. The government pumping trillions of dollars into the economy is like eating 4 cans of alphabet soup in one sitting. You end up with a massive vowel movement. Inflation is transitory turned into an affliction intransient. Sorry. Honestly, somebody needs to tell these people they're not doing a good job just because the United States creditors keep telling them your account is outstanding. IR 2022-16, January 20th, 2022, Washington. With filing season beginning January 24th, the Internal Revenue Service reminded taxpayers about several key items to keep in mind when filing their federal income tax returns this year. And of course, I'm adding the one that's probably at the top of the list for most people. If you don't pay, you get hit with the stick of penalties and interest. And these are kind of like guidelines that fall under that number 1 general rule. So given the unprecedented circumstances around the pandemic and unique challenges for this tax season, the IRS offers 5-point checklist that can help many people speed tax return processing and refund delivery while avoiding delays. Number 1, file an accurate return and use e-file and direct deposit to avoid delays. So the IRS is really attempting to try to get everything as streamlined as possible, e-filing as much as possible, reduce the penalties as much as possible because they're backed up on a lot of stuff given all the things that have happened over the last few years and the shortness of the staff and the COVID and the masking and, all this kind of vaccine mandates and whatnot. So they're trying to get everything as streamlined as possible. And that means if you don't have your return accurately filed, and if it's not e-filed, if you paper file it, it's quite likely that if it gets into the delayed stack, that it could get quite delayed. So if you're looking for the refund, then of course you want to get things as accurate as possible, and you'd like to e-file it. If on the other hand, you owe money, and then, I don't know, you might want to just write a paper tax return and send in the check with a good old check. And if they can't process it because they don't have any staff members in there or whatever, no big deal as long as you don't get hit with that stick of penalties and interest. But even then, you might want to e-file and whatnot because it's nice to know that everything processed and went through and you've got verification that everything's going the way it should. So in any case, taxpayers should electronically file and choose direct deposit. There's a link to direct deposit here as soon as they have everything they need to file an accurate return. Taxpayers have many choices, including using a trusted tax professional. For those using e-file, the software helps individuals avoid mistakes by doing the math. So obviously the software is useful these days, especially for lower income taxpayers, because that's where many of the changes have happened. You got the child tax credit. It goes to low to middle income, but you got the child tax credit. You've got the earned income tax credit stuff. You've got the stimulus payments. These are all things that are really complicating basic returns. So basic returns these days kind of almost require software. Even if there wasn't any actual income, the return could be difficult enough that software could be quite helpful. So it guides people through each section of their tax return using a question and answer format. Number 2, for an accurate return, collect all documents. So you want to make sure you have your documents ready to go when you start the return. So you want to do that before preparing a tax return. Make sure stimulus payments and advanced child tax credit payments is accurate. So they're expecting, we read something earlier from the advocate department or something like that they are expecting, they experienced delays in the prior year due to the stimulus payment credits. And now they've got these child tax payment credits along with the stimulus credits. And so those are most likely going to be things where people are going to have problems because they've had problems with them in the past because you've got this prepayment type of thing. They changed the credits. We've never seen them before. We've seen the stimulus credit, which is the recovery rebate credit, one time now. And now you've got this prepayment on the other credit. And again, the stimulus payments also are confusing because you got 2 stimulus payments tied to 2020 and one tied to 2021, and they were both advance payments. And the credit doesn't sound anything like the stimulus payment, which was an economic impact payment, and the credit's called a recovery rebate credit. So they don't sound like they connect together. At least the child tax credit and the advanced child tax credit sound like, oh yeah, that might be the same thing. Maybe I need to tie that together. So in any case, you want to make sure that you have your payments correct, because the IRS has on their side what they paid. So they know what they think they paid. If you put something different than that on the prepayments, and that's going to cause a problem, and the IRS might delay the return. So you want to make sure you have that. You might want to log into your account, and if you're a tax professional, I would recommend that you get your clients logging into their accounts so that you can verify this information as fast as possible. So in addition to collecting W-2s, Form 1099s, and other income tax related statements, it is important people have their advanced child tax credit and economic impact information on hand when filing. Advanced CTC Child Tax Credit Letter 6419 in late December 2021 and continuing into January, the IRS started sending letters to people who received advanced CTC child tax credit payments. The letter says, quote, 2021 total advanced child tax credit, the advanced CTC payments, end quote, near the top, and, quote, letter 6419, end quote, on the bottom right-hand side of the page. So they're sending these things out, hoping that that will not allow people to get this thing right on the tax return, which will allow the processing to go smoother and allow less backups on the IRS side of things. So here's what people need to know. The letter contains important information that can help ensure the tax return is accurate. People who received advanced CTC child tax credit payments can also check the amount of payments they received by using the CTC update portal. There's a link to that here. It's available on irs.gov, irs.gov, the IRS website. Eligible taxpayers who received advanced child tax credit payments should file a 2021 tax return to receive the second half of the credit. Eligible taxpayers who did not receive advanced child tax credit payments can claim the full credit by filing a tax return. Third Economic Impact Payment Letter 6475. In late January 2022, the IRS will begin issuing letters to people who received a third payment in late January 2021. The letter says, quote, your third economic impact payment, end quote, near the top, and, quote, letter 6475, end quote, on the bottom right side of the page. Here's what people need to know. Most eligible people already received their stimulus payments. This letter will help individuals determine if they are eligible to claim the recovery rebate credit for missing stimulus payments. So remember how this goes. Third stimulus payment is different than the first two stimulus payments in that it's tied to the 2021 tax year, where the first two were tied to the 2020 tax year. So the first two, if there were any problems with that, the remedy is to file the tax return for 2020 and claim the recovery rebate credit for the last one. The third one, then, well, the last one so far, maybe they'll say, I don't know. So the last one as of now was tied to 2021. If there was any problems with it, then the remedy at this point would be to file the tax return for 2021 by April, I think, 18th of 2022, generally claiming the recovery rebate credit. But for this one, most people probably got the correct amount of the stimulus payment and therefore aren't going to get any of the recovery rebate credit because they already got it in the full amount of the prepayment. Therefore, this credit is really there to kind of accommodate any problems with the stimulus payment that went out, which is different than the advanced child tax credit payments, which in those instances you only got half if done correctly, if everything went the way it's supposed to, and you still get part of the credit most likely when you file, is the way I understand it at this point in time. People who are eligible for the RRC, the Recovery Rebate Credit, must file a 2021 tax return to claim their remaining stimulus amount. People can also use IRS online account to view their economic impact payment amounts. Both letters 6419 and 6475 include important information that can help people file an accurate 2021 tax return. If a return includes errors or is incomplete, it may require further review while the IRS corrects the error, which may slow the tax refund. That's what the IRS is terrified of, I believe. They're trying to send these letters out to get a preemptive strike against the idea or the likelihood that they're going to get a lot of returns with math errors on it due to these two things, which are different, substantially changed, people aren't used to, and you've got the advance payment kind of stuff where the estimates could go wrong. So good luck to them, but try to get your tax return right if you want to get your refund fast. So using this information when preparing a tax return electronically can reduce errors and avoid delays in processing. Number 3, avoid lengthy phone delays. Use online resources before calling the IRS. phone demand on IRS assistance lines remains at record highs. We saw something on that from the Advocate service where they were answering some really low percentage of the phone calls. So I don't know if it's even worth calling because it seems like they're not getting to a lot. But in any case, to avoid lengthy delays, the IRS urges people to use irs.gov to get answers to tax questions, checks on refunds, or pay taxes. There's links to that here. There's no wait time or appointment needed. Online tools and resources are available 24 hours a day. Additionally, the IRS has several ways for taxpayers to stay up to date on important tax information. Follow the IRS official social media accounts so you can get like tweets. You can get an IRS tweet. That'll keep you informed. And email subscription lists. There's links to those here to stay current on the latest tax topics and alerts. Download the IRS To Go mobile app. There's a link to that. Watch IRS YouTube videos. Woo! Or follow the IRS on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram for the latest update on tax changes, scam alerts, and initiative products and services. Taxpayers can also get information in their preferred language. The IRS translates tax resources into several languages and currently has basic tax information in 20 languages. There's a link to that here. People can also file Schedule LEP, request for change in language preference, to receive written communications from the IRS in their preferred language. Number 4, waiting on 2020 tax return to be processed. Special tip to help with e-filing a 2021 tax return. In order to avoid validate and successfully submit an electronically filed tax return to the IRS, there's a link to that. Taxpayers need their adjusted gross income, or AGI, from their most recent tax return. For those waiting on their 2020 tax return to be processed, here's a special tip to ensure the tax return is accepted by the IRS for processing. Make sure to enter $0 for last year's AGI on 2021 for a tax return. So that's their special tip. It's kind of like when you play a video game and you got to know the special, like the little special passcode, like up, right, A, B, A. That's what you need to know here. You got to put 0 in there if it's not processed. So make sure you know the code. That's why you're here. That's why you register to us. We tell you the secret stuff. For those who use the non-filer tool in 2021 to register for an advanced child tax credit or third economic impact payment in 2021, they should enter $1 as their prior year AGI. Everyone else should enter their prior year's AGI from the last year's return. Remember, if using the same tax preparation software as last year, this field will auto-populate. So like if you e-filed last year, it should be something that the software can basically help you to auto-populate, but you're going to need that information to verify the e-filing process. So number 5, free resources are available to help taxpayers file. During this challenging year, the IRS reminds taxpayers there are many options for free help, including many resources on irs.gov. For those looking to avoid the delays with a paper tax return, IRS Free File, there's the link to that here, is an option. With Free File leading the software providers make their online products available for free as part of the 20-year partnership with the Internal Revenue Service. So you get a link to that, and they have third-party softwares that basically provide their software. You want to make sure that you're getting the software that's going to suit your needs, including your state requirements and whether they file the earned income tax credit, for example, or a couple things you want to keep in mind. And it's funny that so they got some free softwares on there. It's funny that the big one of the big ones, I guess, is like at TurboTax isn't on there. So Intuit apparently told the IRS, no, thank you, not participating. You're in your free file thing, which is interesting. But in any case, there's other stuff. There's one I haven't used most of them, but there's one called Tax Slayer, which just has a pretty good name, if nothing else. I don't know how good their software is. I've never used it. But in any case, you've got that option. This year, there are 8 products in English and 2 in Spanish. IRS Free File is available to any person or family who earned $73,000 or less in 2021. Qualified taxpayers can also find free one-on-one tax preparation help around the nation through the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance, the VITA, and tax counseling for the elderly, the TCE programs. There's links to that here. There'll be a link to this in the description.